Welcome everyone to the Portal Podcast. This is the second episode, and I'm here with the one and only Byron Ovenstone.
What's up, dude? I'm proud to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. Before we get into anything else, I want you to tell the audience, who were you before the titles, the muscles, the money? What was that guy like, and who was he?
I mean, I guess if we reverse engineer right from like day one. Grew up in South Africa, small town kid, played sports, so was earmarked as like a very gifted and talented sportsman. So from like 13 years old, started getting paid to play, which was pretty cool. So started landing sponsorship deals and a bunch of other things. That kind of got me traveling a lot. So I got to go to the UK, travel around Africa a little bit. By 21, maybe 22, fractured my back twice in two places. That obviously put an abrupt halt to the sporting thing. So then we had to pivot and go to plan B, but we didn't have plan B. So we kind of just made it up as we went along. Got on Google and typed highest paying jobs in London, and financial consultants came up. And I was
That's
like,
how you do it.
Yeah, dude. And I was like, I know how to count, so I'll figure out the rest. And then, yeah, long story short, did a whole bunch of stuff, managed to get myself into consulting. Realized that the consulting company was charging me out at $500 a day, but paying me $150. I didn't like that. I was like, this is some bullshit.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, what is plan B? Set up your own consulting company. So reverse engineered what that looks like. A few months later, set up my own consulting company, scaled that. 2019 or so, decided that this wasn't for me anymore. I needed a new thing. Came out to California on vacation. About 7 days into my 10-day trip, I was like, I'm sticking out here. I'm not going back. So phoned my accountant. I said, hey, dude, shut it all down. I'm done. Obviously, like 3 days later, flew back to the UK, got rid of everything, handed off all my contracts and everything. Flew back here a few weeks later, and we've been here ever since.
Wow. So you just up and left.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I would say that action really aligned you to the man you are today and the places where you are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a track record of a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I'm one of those people who, I'm of the belief pattern that there's a lot of shiny objects out there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, once you've put a flag in the sand or you've drawn a line and you just hunt that down with everything you have, it's already happened and time just has to catch up.
Exactly.
So I literally, yeah, like when I decided I was going to be a financial consultant, it was like, this is what I'm doing, and I will stop at nothing to get it. And every single no was one no closer to a yes. We just kept running the play. And same kind of thing with this. So obviously then went into fitness and nutrition when I came here. Started a physical location. COVID struck, they shut the doors on that. So we pivoted really quickly. We went to online. That blew up. It was awesome. Did that for a while. We merged with another company. That was a mistake. Kind of wheels fell off a little bit, so exited on that. Was kind of like, just what next? And someone reached out to me about this opportunity that I sit in now, and I was like, yeah, I like that idea. So again, just another flag in the ground, and it's like, I'm going to hunt down and do everything associated with that and win.
So interesting, because if you didn't come to America on that trip, mm-hmm. I'm assuming you just came for vacation. You didn't plan on staying, right?
Correct.
How do you think your life would have played out if you stayed in the UK? Like, if you never came to America, like, you know what, America, whatever, I'm going to stay here in the UK and do what I do.
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. Because I knew that I was so dissatisfied with the consulting side of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I like to give clarity, right? I consulted to some of the biggest banks in the world. And in order for the bank to win, you have to lose. So mm-hmm. I was very good at making the bank win, which meant I was very good at making a lot of normal people lose on a consistent basis. And I didn't like that. And went home to visit my parents, and like my dad could tell I was off. And he was like, hey dude, like, real quick, who within the organization are you like aspiring to become? Who's the guy that's like 4, 5, 6 levels ahead of you that if you traded places with him, you'd be stoked? And I said, there's no one.
Wow.
Like I wouldn't trade places with any of these guys. So that was a very like big defining moment as well, where I realized that the consulting thing that I was in, or at least that space, wasn't for me. And then, yeah, like, I mean, before we put the cameras on and stuff, we were talking about how life takes things out the way and puts new things in the way on purpose. And I think once I had made that decision that that's not for me, it started closing a lot of those doors and opening up other doors in other areas. And all of a sudden I became way more aware of other opportunities. And then, yeah, like when the American trip came out and I was kind of kicking it in Malibu, and I was like, this place is nice, dude. It feels the most like I've been at home forever. It was the most settling I'd felt for a while.
Yeah.
And I thought, why not? 27, 28 years old, nothing's really tying me down. If everything was to fail, I can just go back into consulting if I absolutely had to, because I know how to do it. I scaled a 7-figure business. So it's not foreign to me. I know exactly how to do it, and I can time collapse a 5-year journey in 2 years because I've got the experience. So there was no real risk associated to it for me. So it was like, yeah, just pull the trigger and see where this thing goes.
I love that.
Yeah.
And there's something specifically that you said once you decided you're done with that job that you were doing in the UK, all those doors started shutting. So you started looking further for other opportunities, and all those doors started opening. It's like what your mind focuses on is where you're ultimately where your body goes. And I just want to point that out because I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
A lot of people overlook that because people will look at the negative side of things. Oh, they focus on the negative, which opens more doors of negativity.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out. I really admire that.
And I think this game called life is very much a case of the lens that you choose to look through. Because you and me will experience the exact same thing. Like we walk out of this building and, I don't know, something happens. We both see it for exactly what it was, but we interpret it differently based on our perception of this real world. So like all of us live within this world, but we live within our own our own version of it, and we see it through the lenses that we choose to see through previous experience, trauma, whatever you want to call it. It's all just perception. It's not real. So you can choose to see it as a negative, or you can just choose to see the other side of it and figure out how you can shift that to a positive. And it's easier said than done some of the times.
Yes, 100%.
But at the same time, it's like we have the freedom of choice. So just choose to look for the better of it. And like once you start seeing that there's way more doors opening and it's just pulling you further and further away from what you don't want, it's like, well, this is a good thing. I'm going to follow this and see where this takes me. And then like the rest is just action, and like it's a decision to make, then it's taking the relevant action to ultimately get where you want to go. And it's pretty similar. Like I said, I was in the fitness and nutrition space. A dude that's 400 pounds, if he wants to see his abs, it's like, okay, well, we know where you want to go. We know where you are. We plot the route between the two, and you just take action every single day in like micro segments, and you just build the momentum, and ultimately you'll get there.
Yeah.
Same happens with finance, everything.
And something you said, perspective. It reminded me of the story you told us back in those Project Zoom calls.
Yeah.
When the guys were on the beach and they're hating life. They're like, oh, what am I doing here? And then the kids, like a few feet over, they were copying what you guys were putting the guys through the project.
Yeah.
But these kids were having the time of their life.
Yeah.
And so it was a matter of perspective.
100%.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. These kids are just having the absolute best time ever. And it's because also they chose to do that versus the other guys were being told to do it. But it's like all they had to do was pick their heads up for a second and look around and see a bunch of kids having the best time ever and realize that it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like these guys are doing this out of choice. Like this is great.
I know you've openly talked about your story of attempting suicide. And I wanted to know if you were open to it. Can you describe that man for us? Who was he? Where was he? Where was his mindset? Who was that Byron in that moment?
If you can imagine the opposite of this, that was him. So morbidly obese, just shy of 300 pounds, 40% body fat, on the brink of kidney failure, liver failure, escaped all of this game called life. So anything that would numb reality was on the cards. So I would go out drinking a lot, drown myself in work because then I didn't have to face the real world. I didn't have to go back home and all that stuff. So yeah, he was just like polar opposite of this. And again, choosing to look through the lenses, he just saw everything as negative, very self-serving. It wasn't about what's good for other people. It's like, how can I acquire more? How can I have more? It's me, me, me. Versus now, it's more like, how can I just help as many people as possible? And just a shitty dude in general. Poor choice after poor choice after poor choice. And then kind of like a victim mentality where it's like, oh, this world's out to get me. Everyone hates me, this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's not real, dude. You've created that.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability to create it, you can create the byproduct of that, or the vice versa of that. But yeah, man, it was like a big shift in terms of headspace, because it's pretty final. Like, there's no coming back from that. Once the decision's made and you execute, it's game over. Thankfully, I had like a out-of-body experience, and it was like, this is how mom and dad are going to find you. This is how you say thanks for everything they've done for you. This is the gifts that you've been granted. This is how you say thanks for that, really. Like I talked about this on another podcast the other day. About 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, my mom reminded me that I was the only baby that survived in the entire ward the day she gave birth. And it's like, when you remember that, you're like, okay, dude, there's a reason that I'm here. Like, if I'm the only one, like, I have to own that, and there's something greater here. I stuck around for a reason. So yeah, it was just a case of like the opposite of everything I do now was what I did on a consistent basis. I overate, I overdrank, over-caffeinated, worked out, but just did the bare minimum. It was just an excuse to, again, be away from home. I never really trained properly. There was no intention around anything that I did unless it was purely self-serving. Like, how can I make as much money as possible? How can I buy the next cool thing? And yeah, just a dark place, unenjoyable.
During that darkest time, what exactly did you learn that no book, mentor, or anybody could have taught you?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer to that, because I think I've always been in like personal development. I like listening to podcasts. I like reading books. I like being open to different perspectives. So I think there was like a combination of a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily like my thoughts that kind of flooded in and helped me realize in that moment that like I was the maker of where I'm at that moment in time. It was no one else's fault. The world's not out to get me. I'm not that special. And it's like, I've just made poor choices for years, and this is now the outcome. Like, I'm paying for all of those poor choices, and this is why I am where I am right now. And honestly, dude, I wasn't even in that bad a place. Like, I had a 7-figure business, so I wasn't exactly like struggling for money. I wasn't like on the bones of my ass, really like deadbeat guy. If you looked at me from the outside in and you didn't know what was going on in here, you would have been like, this guy's got everything. I had the cars, I had the penthouse, I had the indoor driving range, which I never used. I had the cinema room in my house. Like, I had all the cool shit that was quote unquote success. And I guess I had just married myself to this idea that once I had it all, I would be happy. And there were so many other elements of my life that was such a mess. And the realization that like 3 o'clock in the morning, if the shit hit the fan and I needed to pick up the phone and phone someone, no one would answer.
Wow.
No one was coming. And that was like, okay, I created that. This is entirely of my doing. So it's a very easy shift. Just stop doing the stupid shit and do more smart things, be more intentional, pull yourself out of this. If you can put yourself in it, you can get yourself out. It's just decisions, it's action.
Literally.
And that's all I did. So it was very simple, like borderline kidney failure, borderline liver failure, all that stuff I told you about. Okay, well, just stop drinking as much alcohol, stop eating like an asshole, don't drink 24 cups of coffee a day. It's probably not a good idea. Maybe we should sub in some water, move our body with a bit more intentionality. And I just started like making these micro adjustments. I didn't just do it overnight, because I think that's too much, and a lot of people try and commit to too many things at once. And that ultimately just gets them into a state of overwhelm, and it's unsustainable. So it was just a case of like, well, instead of drinking 24 cups of coffee, I'll drink 18 cups of coffee and 6 cups of water. And then it was just stacking those good habits on top of each other. And you do that for 90 days or more, and you're going to see some pretty phenomenal results.
That kind of rolls me into my next question. You mentioned victim mentality, and the poor decisions you're making, would you consider that self-sabotage?
100%.
And what type of experiences of self-sabotage did you experience, and how did you overcome that?
I just stopped doing them. So like I've never had like I've never been an addict. I've never like had to have drugs or had to have alcohol. It was all just escape mechanisms. So when I realized that the world wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and I just created that, and the more I did those things, the worse the world would appear and be. It was a very simple thing of like, well, stop doing that stuff. Just course correct. So I never had any true vices. I never had to do any of that stuff. It was all self-inflicted through choice, because I just didn't want to be present and experience what I had created. And then the moment that I kind of adjusted and I stood in the mirror and I ripped myself apart for like 15 minutes, it's like, okay, well, I did this. It's easy. Now I just undo it through these things. And then instead of ordering 3 large pizzas a day because it was convenient from the place downstairs, like, I make money, dude. I can just get DoorDash to deliver me healthy food instead. Just getting more intentional. And then also playing for tomorrow. So I stopped playing for like today and I started playing for tomorrow. So what can I do today to make tomorrow a better day? I'm not going to have a good day tomorrow if I wake up hungover, tired, like still drunk. Like there's no way I'm stacking wins from the moment I open my eyes. My back's against the wall. So it was a very simple shift of, okay, well, if we cut out the alcohol, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and feel a lot better than I did this morning when I woke up. So I'm just going to do that. And then again, the huge caffeine crashes. Like, well, if you don't drink 24 cups of coffee, you can't have a caffeine crash. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm a very like logical human, and it's very much an if this, then that, processes, systems, that kind of stuff. So I just reverse engineered everything of what I was doing that was stupid. And then I was like, okay, well, what's the exact opposite? And then I just engineered that into creating this human that I am today.
Well, I love that you said that, because you said the exact opposite of this right now is just picture that.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Okay, so what exactly flipped the switch? Like, what was like, okay, you probably already dived into it, but if you could really pinpoint it, what exactly flipped the switch from, all right, Byron, I need to get my shit together?
I mean, there was probably a couple things, right? So it was the first time standing on the edge of the balcony looking down. It's like 40 stories up, but not having the balls to jump. I was like, I just don't have it in me, dude. I'm not that strong. So then a couple days later, took loads of blood thinners, and I just put a needle in my arm and I was draining myself in the bathtub. Realizing that that's how my parents would find me was a big problem. Kind of pulled myself out of that. And then when I was standing in the mirror, I was listening to a podcast, and I think it was Tom Bellew. I don't know for sure. I can't remember, but I think it was Tom Bellew. He said something along the lines of, would the 7-year-old you be proud of the man you are today? And that was like a catalyst of, no. Like the 7-year-old me, if he looked into an hourglass or like a crystal ball and saw that this is what he would look like at 26, 27 years old, there's no way he wanted to grow up. So it was then, okay, let's just create someone that the 7-year-old me would be excited to grow up and become. And this isn't it. So in my head, I just recreated it. I'm like, well, what would he like? What would he respect? Who would we want to show up for him? And then I just crafted that. So it's like a healthy dude who has values, who shows up every day, who plays for more than himself. Okay, I can do that. That's not hard.
Mm-hmm. You became your own superhero.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And not too many men do that nowadays.
Unfortunately.
They look to other heroes or, champions, football jerseys, all this stuff, wearing another man's name on their back instead of owning their own last name and being that for them and their family. But Byron, what you just described is a lot of men are going through that. That story that you just described with the self-sabotage, the suicide attempts, so many men are going through that today. They just don't talk about it. So what would you say to that man watching? What would you say to him to bring, I would say, a sense of aliveness so that he can see that there is light at the end of the tunnel?
I think it would depend on the individual, because there's no like blanket statement to pull anyone out of that dark space, right? Like certain people respond differently to different stimulus. So like me, if you're just like, pull your shit together, bro, this is unacceptable, that's typically enough, and I'll get my shit together. most people aren't like that. So you have to kind of like navigate that a little bit differently. But I would always typically, so when I coached at Battle Ready, I had a lot of dudes who I would coach that were looking to end themselves and like run that play. And more often than not, it was just like, dude, is this as good as it is? Like, is this where your life is peaked? Is this what you want to be remembered for? There's levels to this game, and I think we do ourselves a massive disservice, because if we circle back to what we were originally saying, most people end up here because they're drifting, and they have never ever put a stake in the ground and said, that's what the fuck I want, and I will not stop until I get it. Most of them have an idea, like a very vague idea of what good looks like, and it's never really their idea anyway. They've seen it on social media, and now they're like stealing little bits of other people's lives, and then they're trying to construct this weird fucking thing that's not possible, and then having these outlandish, unrealistic expectations of what's possible and what's not possible, and what the timeline to acquire those things are, and then they never really commit to anything 100%. So they have no way of stacking wins every single day to ultimately get them there. So when you reflect at the end of the day, and this is what I would do, I would reflect at the end of the day and be like, dude, like me being here made no difference. I didn't accomplish anything. I didn't do good to anyone. I didn't show up in any way, shape, or form. Like if I died today and I ended this shit today, nothing changes. But if you get outside of that and you start showing up for other people, and you start having a fucking stake in the ground and like, this is what I'm doing and I'm going to reverse engineer this every day. Now you have actionable steps where you can measure progress every day, and you can see your wins, and you can take notes of them, and you can see a track record of winning. It's fucking hard to kill yourself when you see yourself winning on a consistent basis.
Yes.
The only reason you want to off yourself is because you don't see the value that you bring to anyone's life or your own life, and because you have no real reason for waking up tomorrow morning. So you wake up tomorrow and you're like, well, I'll just go wherever this day takes me. And inevitably it takes you into self-sabotage, because that's easier than fucking winning. So what they end up doing is they just go further and further down that sabotage route until eventually they either try and overdose or do something stupid. And it's like, well, just put a line in the sand. Just have something that you're hunting for. Have a reason to wake up tomorrow. And then don't put your head on a pillow until you've stacked X amount of wins that will ultimately get you there in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But like in my experience, personally, and then the people that I coached, they never had a reason to wake up tomorrow. Yeah, they might have been husbands and have kids and stuff like that, but they didn't give a shit about those people. It was all self-serving. So they wouldn't do the work today to ultimately become better for them and for their families. And then it's easy. Then it's like the path of least resistance. You just end it all. But if, like now, dude, if I don't, well, I've got enough insurance and other shit. My family probably better off if I'm dead, to be fair. But like if I don't come home, there's a huge problem there. And that like every single day, my wife will find my friends or whatever it is on iPhone. You can track each other's phones. She'll be like, oh, Dad's about 5 minutes from home. Dude, I shit you not, to get to my house is like a big green, and I drive around the green to park on this side. Like every day, my daughter, the dog, my son, and my wife is standing at the fence waiting for me to come into the gate. It's like, that's a measure of success in my eyes.
Wow.
So it's like, I'm not playing this for me anymore. I can take 5,000 punches to the face every single day, and it doesn't fucking matter. Because I know when I drive home tonight, they're going to be pumped to see me, and Dad's home. So it's not about me anymore.
Wow.
But when you're in that dark space, it's all just very self-serving. It's all about me. It's how do I get more? How do I have more? And it's like, it's not about you, dude. And you're not going to acquire more. You're not going to be more because you're not showing up for anything. You're that lone wolf, and the lone wolf dies fastest.
They really do. Okay. That reminds me of a time whenever we were actually on a phone call, and I was going through something, and I was asking like, Byron, like, how do you do it? What gets you through all the bullshit? And you picked up a photo frame of your family.
Yeah.
This is it right here. Yeah. And I was like, damn, that's so powerful, because I feel like most men would agree, like that picture that you painted, with your wife, your children, waiting outside for you to arrive home. That just brings a type of spark to a man's heart, I would say. And to become the man that could even achieve that and retain that, it takes work, but it's worth it in the end. Would you agree?
100%, dude. Every day is a school day. Every day it works. Because if I turn up today and I'm not a present father and I'm not there for them, they're not going to be as excited tomorrow. So they might still be at the fence, but there's not going to be that level of enthusiasm. And then if that progresses and I show up tomorrow like shit and I show up the next day like shit and the day after that, this time next week, they're not at the fence anymore. So there's a reason I come into here every single day and there's a 35-minute drive home. It's because it gives me 35 minutes to take off my body armor. Because this is a battlefield, bro. This is a zero-sum game in this place. So it's like, I'm at war. I can't be at war at home. So I have to be able to decompress, file everything away. So I have my thought, on my drive home, I very seldom listen to music. I just see myself as a giant filing cabinet and I'm filing certain things away and I'm processing the day. And then I'm taking off my body armor so that the moment I walk into the house, it's like dad's home. And I'm not perfect, bro. I fuck this up every day. But it's the intention behind it and showing up as best I can on a consistent basis. That's what they measure. They don't need me at home for 8 hours a day. But the 2 hours or 3 hours that I am home, I need to give them everything I have. And that's easy to do when you just, again, don't play for yourself. It's a bigger game than that.
100%. I'm sure someone watching right now could definitely hold on to that. And even if they don't have a girlfriend or wife or husband or whatever, or a family, they can work to become that person that does earn that and that does retain that. And I believe that's a powerful driving factor to pull that person out of that dark place.
I agree, dude. And it's half the battle is not so much acquiring stuff, it's keeping it. It's the same as finances. You can make $1 million, but if you don't have the systems and the stuff in place to kind of retain that money, as quick as it came in, it's going to leave. So you have to become the person that's capable of sustaining that and maintaining that first, because otherwise you're going to get it and it's going to disappear just as quickly, which is why the divorce rate's through the roof, which is why there's so many single moms, kids growing up without fathers and stuff like that. And it's because the dudes haven't created the man that it requires to attain that and retain it at the same time. It's anyone can get a woman pregnant. That's not hard. But being a dad and being a father, that shit's hard, dude. My son's 10 right now and he goes through these waves of shit. And bro, some days I'm like, fuck, I just want to kick him down the stairs. Swear to God. I'm like, bro, you're a dick. But then I realize that he's 10 and he's going through some shit and we have to figure it out and we navigate it and whatever. And then he comes out the other side and he's better for it. But it's every day is a school day and no 2 days are the same. So there's no book you can read on this shit either. So it's hard. You have to be intentional. You have to show up and fucking try. Because the moment you don't, that energy is contagious. And then it's well, if he's not trying, why should I try? And then there's a slow decay of the family unit. And then eventually you and your partner are just fucking housemates. And you just get further and further and further apart until eventually the lines are so far apart you can never bring them back together. And then that's when the shit goes down a little bit sideways.
Yeah. The family looks up to the head of the household, and if he's not in order, everything is in chaos.
Right.
So that brings me to my next question. Obviously, modern society has a twisted vision of what masculinity is. So I want to know your opinion and perspective on what does a man look like? What is a real man? What is a masculine man?
Everyone's got their own version of this, right? I am probably more old school, coming from third world countries, seeing what the real world looks like. I live in Orange County, dude. It's pretentious. It's a bubble. Bad shit doesn't happen here. In comparison to South Africa, bad shit happens everywhere. But in comparison to South Africa, bad shit doesn't happen here. So I am of the belief pattern that a man's job is to protect and provide for his family. So I have to be a weapon at all times. I need to be healthy. I need to be strong. I need to be able to fuck shit up if I have to, and be extremely dangerous if necessary to do exactly what I'm supposed to do as a man to make sure that no one gets hands on my wife or my kids. That's my job. So there's a reason I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I go to the gym and I lift like a madman. It's because I've got 3 people in the house that if the shit hit the fan, I need to be able to scoop up all 3 of them and carry them out the house. If I'm 300 pounds, 40% body fat, and I get gassed walking up a flight of stairs, I'm no good to my family. I'm a liability, I'm not an asset. So I'm of the belief pattern that a true masculine man is someone who can protect and provide in whatever capacity is required in that moment. And whether it's finding yourself in a position where you have to take a life, so be it. But at least be capable of that and have the ability to choose whether you do or do not. But unfortunately today, most people aren't in that position. They couldn't do anything, let alone fight their way out of a wet paper bag. And then it's like, well, now you're an additional liability. And so we've had this. We've had people in our house. You phone 911 and it takes 11 minutes for them to get from the station to your house. That's 11 minutes that you have to be able to handle whatever's going down in your house. Most men couldn't handle 30 seconds. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Because there's 10 and a half minutes of stuff going really, really badly until such time as someone who's apparently toxic shows up to handle that situation for you. So I can't rely on the police because I might not have 11 minutes to wait for them to show up at my door.
Yeah.
So I have to be capable of doing whatever's necessary in that 11 minutes. So I train appropriately.
Of course.
I have to be financially stable because otherwise, like, who's going to raise my kids? Now my wife's out working and she's earning an income, and then now we're paying someone else to raise my kids. And then they're being raised in an ecosystem that's not of our core values and doesn't believe what we believe. And then already you've got this weird energy in the house because your kids are being raised by someone else and you have your own set of standards over here. It's like there's too much mess.
Yeah.
So if I just take ownership of everything, and then I let my wife do what my wife wants to do, where she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. She wants to do the sourdough and the homesteading and all that stuff. That's when she's in her best energy. Why would I want to pull her out of that energy and not have her show up her best when I'm more than capable of doing everything else around the protecting and the providing side of life? So vicariously, or whatever you want to say, like, I am obligated to meet those expectations, because also I know what happens when I'm not driven and I don't have those things to fall back on. I then start leaning into the sabotage and a bunch of other stuff. And then now I just become more of a liability over and over and over again. And then before you know it, divorced, it's a mess, chaos.
What you just said is so important, because the world will be a way better place if every man operated the way you do. And that's why I wanted to bring you on this podcast, because men like you need to be heard and need to be seen to show what a real man is. And like you said, most men wouldn't even be able to handle 30 seconds. And take out the extremes, even a moment of chaos, their emotions go out the window, and then they become the chaos, and then everything else just comes crumbling down. I like to say it's better to be a gardener it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
100%.
So you should always be ready, because obviously the tongue is also a very deadly weapon. So you should be ready physically to be a man.
Yeah.
And then of course your emotions and what you speak, because that could destroy the whole family within itself as well.
Oh, 100%. And like when I was growing up, my dad always used to tell me that panic kills people. He's like, it's seldom the situation that kills you, it's your reaction to it and your panic that kills you. So he just trained me from a really young age to not panic in situations, to take a breath, absorb everything that's going on around me, and then like plan appropriately. So I just show up and I do that. And then I just mitigate risks as much as I can every single day. But yeah, man, like, reality of someone kicking in my front door, super low. But if they do, my wife and kids know exactly what to do about it, because we've role played that shit as well.
Good.
And they know exactly how this is going to go down. My wife knows exactly what she's going to do. Jameson knows exactly what he's supposed to do. And it's like everyone's got their job descriptions. So when the shit hits the fan, similar to like a boxer who shadow boxes, he shadow boxes for a reason, because when everything is going to shit, he wants to just be able to fall back on that pattern and just allow his hands to take over. I just want that in day-to-day life as well. So we role play a lot of stuff, we figure out a lot of stuff, and then it's like, well, if the worst thing was to happen, like everyone knows what to expect. We've talked about this. We know what's going down. It's like, Jameson, you get Scarlett, you get out the way. Mom, you make sure Jameson gets Scarlett, get out the way. You phone 911, you tell them what I'm looking like, you let them know that I'm South African, I'm the good guy, not the bad guy. And we talk this all through.
Yeah.
So if someone does happen to kick in our front door, there's not that 30 seconds of like, oh shit, what now?
Yeah.
And everyone's looking around and scrambling. It's like, we know.
Chaos kills.
This is what's happening. There's no panic, and it's just pure execution and action.
That's so powerful. I remember a time in the project, they call it the Red Room.
Uh-huh.
So you go in without a weapon. You have your role-playing wife and child, and you walk in, and here comes a group of guys. Hey, what's up? And you're just like, oh, you're trying to hold your family back, but also trying to create space. But they just come and take you down, and then they take your family with them. So being prepared in these situations, yeah, it's may not be high, but it's still a possibility.
Yeah.
Just to be a formidable man. And I preach that a lot in what I teach and what I talk about. So I'm happy to be sitting across another formidable man that talks about that, because I don't think it's talked about enough. Because like you said, those 30 seconds, most men would just collapse, and then everyone else collapses too. So it's our job, and for the men watching, it's our job to be that pillar, to be that formidable force, so that we can protect those and protect ourselves ultimately. So Byron, with that being said, man, I want to ask, what are your non-negotiables? Like, what makes you like Byron?
I mean, I have my foundation, right? So I work out, I plan to eat as best as I can. I have strict guidelines around like when I work, when I don't work. So there's a lot of like, I guess those are, non-negotiables. But I also try not to stay too rigid and too structured and too robotic, because otherwise then you lose that opportunity for like spontaneity and like, oh, we could go to Disneyland tomorrow. No, Dad's got to do this. Like, I want to have that like flexibility as well, within reason. But for me, it's putting my own mask on first. Like every time you get on an aircraft and they tell you, if we're going down, put your own mask on first, you're no good to anyone else. So that would probably be like my highest priority non-negotiable, is what does it take to make me the best version of me every single day? Because I could wake up at 6 and I could then go to the gym, and I could leave from the gym and I could just go straight to work. And then I could go from work and I could come home and I could see my family for an hour before bedtime. But that to me is not possible, because at the same time, like I want to be a present dad. I want to be there for my wife and kids. Mm-hmm. So I wake up at 3, I go to the gym early, I get home, I study or do some work for an hour before everyone is awake. That gives me my workout time and like my like 1 hour of kind of like diving into certain things that will move the needle for me personally. And then it's like, okay, well now I'm dad, and I get to be dad for an hour before I head off to the office. Then I head off to the office, I do my day, whatever it takes to win at that point. Then I circle back up, and at the end of the day, do out all my closeout activities, drive home. Then again, show up at home, and I get 2.5 hours with the wife and the kids. And outside of that, like my phone goes on do not disturb, and I'm present for them. Because it's easy, dude. We could find ways to work for 24/7, 365. Yeah. But it's like, if you build this huge empire, but you're standing at the top of the mountain all by yourself, what was the point? So I'm just going to bring them along for the ride, and I'm going to incorporate them as much as I can and within reason. Like, my wife often tells me, like, you should open up more and tell me more about what's going on. And I'm like, but you don't need to know. Like, the shit that I carry and the shit that I have to do every single day, she doesn't need to be present to that, because it's just going to add stress. Yeah. There's nothing she can do to fix it. It's just part of day-to-day life as a man. Like, I'm just carrying certain things that I have to do. So, like, bringing her into the fold on that is just going to make her stress out about stuff that she can't control. What's the point? But in the same light, it's like, bring them along on that journey so that they get to climb the mountain too. And then ideally get to a point where, like, my son, instead of starting at the bottom, he starts 3/4 of the way up or halfway up. because he's been exposed to a lot of the other stuff. So he just gets like to leapfrog a bunch of other people because he's been a part of the ride, same as my daughter. But yeah, my non-negotiable is I put my own mask on first every single day, without jeopardizing family time and business time. So if that means I have to wake up at 3, so be it. Like when I get home tonight, if I haven't finished all my closeout activities and I have work to do, like I'll put the kids to bed, wife will go to bed, and then if I have to do more work, I'll do more work. But then tomorrow morning at 3 o'clock when the alarm goes off, I'm up. Doesn't matter whether I got 2 hours of sleep or 4 hours of sleep or 10 hours of sleep. Like when the alarm goes off, it's go time.
Yeah.
And I just do that.
Oh, that's some insane discipline. I love that. It's almost like that's like what people call the psychotic discipline. You know, it's just go. Like it doesn't matter how you feel. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
The GSD, get shit done.
Yeah. Because also, right, there's this misconception that certain things have to take periods of time. And it's like, well, no, it doesn't. If I'm prepared to time collapse it and do whatever it takes to make that happen, like why can't I make what other people take 20 years to do happen in 8? As long as the work correlates. And you look at most people who come into the office and you look at their screen time and you'll see 2.5 hours, 3 hours on Instagram. And there's so much wasted time in the day. And then they go home and they're like, well, I was super busy today. The fuck you were, dude. You scrolled Instagram for 4 hours, TikTok for 2 hours, you did an hour and a half of work and you had a 30-minute lunch break. Like you weren't busy. But if you come in and you did as much as you could do in that 8-hour window with as little downtime as possible. Now, if I do a true 8-hour, I'm like 4 times more work than the average person in this building.
Damn.
So why can't I time collapse a 20-year goal and make it happen in 8? Because I'm already 4 times more like productive in the same amount of time. So all I do is, again, it comes back to like intentionality and everything. It's like my wife and I, at the end of every year, New Year's Eve, we do vision boards. So like my son has one, my daughter has one, but it's like a fucking mess. She's 3, so she does the best she can.
Oh, it's like a unicorn or puppy or something.
So all sorts of weird shit. But like my son does one, my wife does one, I do one, and we have a goal of having a ranch with the river running through it, barndominium and all that stuff. And like when you look at it, it's like, okay, that could take 20 years. Based on the amount of land I want like 10,000 acres. So we're not talking Mickey Mouse money. We're talking a good chunk of change to buy this place. It's like, it doesn't have to take 20 years. So when my wife and I were talking about like the logistics of how I show up every single day, I was like, okay, so here's the thing. We want this. This can take 20 years and we can slow play it and I can be home every single night and we can hang out for 8 hours a day. But know that on the back end of that, there's like a opportunity cost, and the opportunity cost is that the ranch that we want takes 20 years. Or I can be very intentional with my time at work and I can be very intentional with my time at home. But like when it's work time, it's fucking go time.
Yeah.
And then when it's home time, it's home time. And then we could do that in 7, 8 years. Which is the outcome you want to go for? And she's like, hey dude, the faster we get that ranch, the better. I'm like, cool, then this is what the day has to look like. But now I've also got her buy-in because she understands that there's an end result. It's not just me like grinding away in the dark and she doesn't see the back end or the benefit of it. Now she's like, okay. And then when the kids are like, duh, you got to go to work today? Mom's like, yeah, but you know why? And like we're all rowing in the same direction.
Wow, everyone's on track.
Yeah. And I think that's half the problem is the lack of communication around why you do what you do. And that's a massive breakdown in most families. Because one, dudes are not very good at sharing. Like I just admitted I'm not very good at sharing. Like I don't tell my wife everything because she doesn't need to know. It's just going to add stress. What does she need to know about it? But at the same time, it's like they don't share the outcome that they're shooting for and what good looks like. Because let's say we didn't share that and I'm hunting down this ranch and then in 8 years or whatever, like I'm divorced because I didn't talk to her about it. There's this whole chain reaction of stuff and generational trauma and damage because I couldn't take 15 or 20 minutes to have a conversation with my wife about why I do what I do. And then put options on the table as well and go like, option A is this, option B is this. Which do you prefer? Or is there a hybrid of the two? So like communication is a game changer when it comes to relationships.
Yes, 100%. in anything, to be honest.
That's true.
You mentioned how you said you do productive work. I remember in the past you said, I never do busy work, I do productive work. Can you dive a little deeper into what that looks like?
Anything that is not a good use of time or not measurable. So like I could cold call, right? Probability wise, if let's say I made 100 cold calls today, probability of me booking meetings is maybe 5%. So I dial 100 people and maybe I set 5 meetings. It's not a good use of time considering that 100 calls is going to take 2, 3, 4 hours to make. Versus I can be very intentional with my time and I can get very hyper focused and I can connect with you and go, so the way I build my business is through people that know, like, and trust me. And the only reason you would take a call with me is because you know, like, and trust me. If I called you and I was like, hey, I'm a financial planner, would you be open to having a conversation? Or tell me to kick rocks. Because candidly, people hold finances very close to their chest. But if you make an introduction to someone and I then reach out to them and I'm like, hey, so-and-so, this guy introduced us, would you be open to having a conversation? Just leveraging your relationship, the probability of them taking a meeting with me is significantly higher. So that same 4 hours of calling random cold calls versus being intentional with connecting with people to help connect me with other people, like my probability of winning is significantly higher. To the point of like, if I make 10 of those introductions, probably 8 of them will set a meeting and between 3 and 5 of them will become clients, versus the flip side of cold calling, maybe 1 or half would actually become a client. So again, like I always just measure it in terms of like what's actually going to move the needle and what's actually going to move the business or the relationship or whatever. And then I'll focus in on those key things, because it's way easier for me to just pick up a phone and cold call a bunch of people, because there's no like emotional or like reputational ties to it. Versus like if you and I having a conversation, I'm like, hey, would you introduce me to that guy? And you say no. It's like there's a bit more pain that comes with that. Versus just a random dude telling me to kick rocks. Whatever, dude, next. But now there's like a reputational damage where I'm like, oh, is he going to be offended? Like, is our relationship going to be the same? So a lot of people will err on the side of easy, and they'll do a lot of busy shit that doesn't necessarily move the needle. Versus I'd rather just go straight to the source and like get an outcome that I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm intentional.
What you just said is extremely valuable, because I feel like most people are just doing busy work. They say they're moving the needle, but in all reality, like you said, with the people with their screen time, they feel like they're busy, they feel like they're moving the needle, but if they took a little bit more intentionality and took that productive work, what can take them a week would take like 3 days. So I really love that.
Yeah.
I love how you pointed that out. So Byron, another question I want to ask you is, you obviously worked really hard for your body.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what does that come with, like showing up as a man, as a protector? Like, what is the importance of taking care of your health and your body?
It's funny because I was in a session this morning and one of the guys, he said, a healthy man wants 1,000 things and an unhealthy man only wants one thing. And that's exactly it, dude. It's like when you're in peak physical condition and you look after yourself, now you've opened doors to everything. You can do what you want when you want. You can acquire and do whatever. But you get struck down, the only thing you want is to be healthy, to open those doors back up again. So that's the main driving force for me. And I actually lived this, because when I fractured my back twice in 2 places, like basically for 3 months, I wasn't allowed to do a whole hell of a lot. And I realized just how fragile this thing really is. And when you don't care for it, it will become a problem really, really quickly. And then when you stop taking care of your body, I mean, at that point now it starts impacting your headspace.
Yeah. And
then there's a vicious spiral off the back of that as well. So, I mean, dude, it's number one on the food chain. Because I can, say I had a Lambo in the garage. I could fucking race that thing out of here tonight. I could get into an accident and I'll buy a new one tomorrow. I got insurance. This thing breaks down and this thing fails me, I can't buy another one. There's no plan B. If this stops working, I'm out. So our biggest asset is ourselves. We have to protect that first in whatever capacity makes sense. And most people don't. They just abuse the shit out of their body. They treat their car better than they treat themselves. And you can buy a new fucking car, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're out there, like, washing your car and waxing your car and doing all this cool shit for your car while you're eating cheeseburgers 3, 4, 5 times a week and drowning your sorrows. And then you're shocked that you're not getting anywhere you want in this game called life.
Yeah.
But it's like you care for something that you could replace tomorrow more than you care about the thing that's irreplaceable. So to me, I just became very aware of just how fragile this thing is. And the moment that it betrays me, everything goes with it. So now it's a non-negotiable. Put my own mask on first. Protect this at whatever costs. And it's not fun. Wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not fun, dude. But it's necessary. And then you start living in that, and you get to a point where you kind of start enjoying that, like, that hurt and that discomfort, because you realize, like, if I can win that little battle at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's not too many bigger battles on the back end of that that's going to challenge me at any way, shape, or form this week. It's like I already won, and probably the hardest one.
Yeah.
And now the rest is easy. Oh, you say no? Okay.
Let's go. That reminds me of the project. You talked about the car. The people who treat their cars better than themselves. Remember, you were like, treat yourself like your dream car. What your dream car? You're gonna give it the regular gas, or you're gonna give it that premium gas. You're gonna wash it every day, make sure it's shined, the interior is good, or versus like the normal car, whatever car they have now, versus their dream car. So if you treat yourself the way you would your dream car, I mean, I feel like inevitably you would be able to retain the dream car if you treat yourself just as good.
100%. Because again, like, how you do anything is how you do everything. And if you're going to treat yourself like that, and you're going to appreciate the things you already have, like, I'm a big believer in, like, the law of reciprocity and all that good stuff. And it's like, dude, if I can't appreciate and I can't enjoy what I have now, and I can't gift things out off the back of it because I'm just in such a state of, like, blissful dissatisfaction, that why would life give me anything more than what I already have? Because I don't even appreciate what I have right now. So, like, I appreciate everything. I'm grateful for what I have. I'm blissfully dissatisfied because I know that there's more in the tank, and I know that there's more opportunity. But at the same time, if this was as good as it gets, I mean, we're in a pretty good spot. We're okay.
Yeah. 100%.
So it's like, yeah, man, if you treat this right, and you show that this is a valuable asset to yourself, why would you not be gifted more assets and more things? Because you appreciate what you already have, and you show up for yourself. Just like you're not going to put a fucking Kia engine in a Lamborghini. Stop putting bullshit in your mouth. It's the same shit.
Exactly. And something very important as well, people may not realize it, but the more fit you are, like, if you were to look at a regular guy versus a very athletic, fit guy, you can already tell this guy's disciplined. You can, right off the bat, you can tell he's disciplined, he takes care of himself, and versus this guy, he's probably doesn't have any good habits. And that, being this fit athletic guy, can take you way farther than you would as this guy, just based off of how he looks.
Even beyond that, dude, the amount of times I will walk into a building and I'll literally part the seas like Moses, and people, like, take notice. And it's just because, like, I just occupy all of the right space.
Yeah.
I carry myself differently because I worked hard for this stuff. I'm proud of this. So just naturally, the way I show up, I just give off a different energy. I have a different aura about me. And then, like, dude, people just start talking to you, wanting to network with you, chat to you, understand what you do, why you do it and stuff. And it's like, this game gets so much easier. I don't have to go out and try and start conversations with people. People want to talk to me. And, like, you take someone who's out of shape, same build as me, right? So they're 235, 240 pounds, 5'9", 5'10", but soft, just like a brick. And you put him in a set of clothes and me in exactly the same set of clothes, I look 1,000 times better than that guy every day, all day. And then you get those people who are like, oh, you got dressed up today. Bro, we're wearing the same thing. I just wear it better because I have the right shapes and the right curves because I look after myself.
Yeah.
And then naturally with that, people just gravitate towards you because, again, you're an asset.
Yeah.
And they understand that the way that you show up for yourself, you're going to show up for other areas of your life as well. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you do this. I need a guy that does that. And everything you say just carries so much more weight because you show up the right way.
Because like you said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So someone can automatically assume if you're disciplined within your body, you can be disciplined to do what they need you to do for that job that needs to get done.
Exactly.
So I love that. Speaking of jobs, Byron, I want to ask, or I would love for you to tell the audience about exactly what you do.
So my team and I were comprehensive financial planners. So what we do is we make sure that if you died in the next 5 minutes or you live for another 95 years, you can afford to do so. So we do a lot of defensive planning on the short-term stuff, but then a lot of offensive planning for legacies, trusts, wills, all of that stuff on the back end. So ideally, we get you to a point where you can retire gracefully and you're not having to eat cat food. And we just make sure that that's a reality. We mitigate taxes. Anything and everything to do with money, we have a finger on the pulse with.
So with that being said, you've obviously mastered your body and you've most likely mastered your wealth. So a lot of people are still chasing money to survive. So what's the mindset switch? What's the flip to attract money and multiply it?
Most people are chasing money because they never learned the discipline of retaining money. So like, let me think of an example. Let's say the government tomorrow raises our taxes by 10%. Every single person in America would kick, would scream, would be super pissed off, but they would figure it out and they would pay their taxes because they know the consequences of not are just something that they're not prepared to deal with. So they would restructure their lives, they would restructure their finances, and inevitably that extra 10% that they would have spent otherwise now goes to the tax man. So all I do with like a lot of my clients is exactly that. We just self-impose a tax. I'm going to impose a 30% tax on you, 20% tax on you, 10% tax on you, whatever number makes sense. And you're just going to get used to living without it. And we're going to put it in these strategic buckets based on your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, etc. And we're going to start building you wealth so that ultimately when you get to retirement, you're not relying on a 401k and your social security, because those are two terrible strategies. And I think if most people could just get into the habit of every single paycheck just automatically taking 10% off the top and putting it into a high yield savings account or whatever, and just get used to living on the rest, they would soon see that it's actually a really easy thing to do. Because what inevitably happens is people will go, I'm going to start saving when I start making 100,000. So as their income increases, their cost of living increases in correlation. And next minute they're making 100, but they're spending 100. And then they're like, oh, you know what? I'll start saving when I make 150. And exactly the same thing happens. And it's this repeat pattern of life. Versus, I think it was Ed Milet. He said it best. He's like, if you can't save money when you're broke, you're sure as shit not going to save money when you're rich. Because all the cool stuff costs a lot of money. And it's like, now you have the money, you're going to spend it. So you just ingrain that discipline in yourself. And dude, when I started, it was like maybe 5%. And then it slowly but surely increased. Now it's 20, 30, 40%. But it's the easiest thing to do. You just take it off, similar to like a 401k. The reason most people have a 401k with any kind of money in it at the end of the year or at the end of their lifetime is because they didn't have a choice. The money just got taken off their check. They never ever saw it. And it automatically just got invested for them and they lived on whatever was left over. So if you can just do that plus a couple extra little bits, like before you know it, you've got a nice little nest egg. And assuming you've chatted to someone like me, we can then start playing tax arbitrage and we can start being very strategic to make sure that you're not giving Uncle Sam a tip.
So you're just creating legacy, pretty much, just helping people create their legacies.
Literally, that's my target audience is like business owners or C-suite individuals who are determined to live for something bigger than themselves. So like they have family, they have a cause, they have a reason to wake up that's not just selfish. And then ultimately like building them a legacy that they can hand down generationally or into a trust or to a charity, whatever.
Speaking of legacies, what would you say to the person that's at a job that they don't like, but they're only in it to survive, but they're dying for more? They know that they're meant for more. What would you say to that person and how could they escape that?
It's like it depends, right? If they've got wife and kids and a whole bunch of other stuff, there's a lot of like things that they have to factor in there. But let's just say that they did. So we'll go to the extremes. There's a reality where, again, in the 8 hours that you're at your office, you're not doing all 8 hours of work. You're doing a bunch of shit that doesn't move the needle. So start figuring out, and there's amazing resources, ChatGPT, Google, YouTube. There's a lot of people who have been dealt worse cards than you who are extremely successful today. So it's just a case of, again, deciding what you want and then setting a time limit on it as well. Because if you decide, like if they hate their job and they're like, well, one day I'm going to quit and I'm going to start my own thing. One day will never come because there will never be the right moment for it to happen, and there'll never be enough stimulus to make it happen. Like something has to like really spark that fire to then get them to take action. Whereas I would say, decide like, okay, I want to start my own business or whatever, and then start like acting as if that's already the reality. So when you get home and you've put your kids to bed and your wife's gone to sleep and stuff, dude, you can still grind. You can do some time outside of those hours to set yourself up to learn what you need to learn, understand how to do whatever it is you're trying to do. Like YouTube's a wonderful resource. You pretty much learn anything on YouTube. I got my MBA in corporate finance thanks to YouTube. So like
YouTube University.
Yeah, dude. Like most of my classes, I was just like, I don't know what's going on here. I better get on YouTube and figure this out. So you can learn anything and everything. And it's just a case of like, how creative are you prepared to be? Most people don't lack opportunity, they lack creativity. And if you're prepared to be creative and get outside of the quote unquote norms, like there's nothing holding you back. It's just a case of one, you're scared, and two, you lack the creativity. So get beyond the scared, because I would rather have a go at it and potentially fail than live with what if for the rest of my life. So for me, it's always been a case of like, I'm going to shoot and see, because I never want to live with the like, oh man, I wonder, what if I had just given that a go? And I also never want to be that guy where it's like, man, if I just tried a little harder, would that have worked out? Like I would rather give it everything I got and know. And then it's like, okay, well, cool. That was definitely not it. There was no chance that was going to win. So, okay, cool. Now I know. Yeah. Anyone that's like toying with the idea of it, it's like, okay, just decide what you want. You know what you don't want because you're living it right now. So it's like, okay, what about this do you not like? And what are you shooting for on the other side? And then just build out a fucking plan and start working as though it's already happened and time just has to catch up. And if you do the relevant work and you do it appropriately, time will catch up and you will have what you want. But most people can't do that because, again, their financial literacy sucks and they don't save, they don't plan or anything. It's like money in, money out, money in, money out. And then they never have the opportunity to leave because they're chained to their desk. And that's what most companies know. So they pay you just enough to get by, so that you're chained to your desk. It's the golden handcuffs.
Yeah. So
instead, it's like, okay, live below your means, squirrel away some money, get to a point where you know, hey man, even if the shit hit the fan, I've got 6 months and nothing changes, I'm good. Now you have a level of security where you can really give it everything you've got and not have to stress out about, is it going to work out or not? And am I going to be able to pay rent at the end of the month or not? Like if you build out the war chest, you can't lose.
What would you say is the biggest money mistake that people may not even realize that they may be doing?
I mean, most people don't even know where their money's going, to be honest with you. Like when I tell people to pull up bank statements and tell me where they think their money's going, they have no clue. I do it all the time where I'm like, okay, so what is your income? And they'll be like, oh, 250, 300 grand. So what does it cost you to be you every single month? Maybe like 5. So where does the other 15 grand a month go? Oh, I don't know. Well, you should probably get a pulse on that. And then all of a sudden they realize that it's not costing them 5 grand a month to live. And they've got expenses outside of just their mortgage. And then they realize, oh, I spend $1,500 a month on DoorDash and $2,000 here and $1,200 here and $100 here and $300 there. I mean, one guy I chatted to had 5 different Netflix accounts. Wow. Because he kept forgetting the password and he would just set up another one. So he had 5 different Netflix accounts on his bank account, charging him every single month. And it's like, it's just reckless spending. It's not being intentional again with what they're doing. And that starts catching up. And it's like, get a grasp on your finances, dude. And burying your head in the sand and never looking at your bank account's not going to solve your problem. Like, if you truly want to get out of a hole, you should open that bank account every single day. And you should know exactly what's coming in and what's going out. And you should be tracking it and measuring it, and then realizing just where the money's going, where it shouldn't be, and then putting a stop to that bleed, and then reallocating those dollars to something else, even if it's just a high yield savings account.
Earlier you mentioned risk. So I wanted to ask, what did you have to risk and walk away from to get to where you are today? Financially or just in general?
Well, I've walked away from 2 7-figure businesses to start a third. But I mean, I left the country with a suitcase twice. I left South Africa with a suitcase, moved to the UK, did 10 or 11 years in the UK, left the UK with a suitcase, came here. So like, I'm not too worried about risk. I back myself to win. I know I've got the track record of winning, but again, it's just because I pay attention to the track record in the first place. So I don't even associate those to risks. Like, I don't think I've ever really had to risk anything, because I've always just backed myself to win. Because I know that if I've got a solid enough idea of what I want and I've reverse engineered the plan, there's really no risk there, because I know exactly what I have to do today to win today. And then if I win today, I can win tomorrow. If I win tomorrow, I can win the next day. And next minute I've strung a week of wins, then it's a month of wins, then it's a quarter of wins, then it's a year of wins, then it's a decade of wins. So I break everything down into the stupidest, simplest formula possible.
Wow.
To the point where it's like, okay, man, I literally just have to meet 5 new people today. And if I can meet 5 new people a day, that'll be 5 clients a month. That'll be X number of revenue. That'll be X number of this, X number of that. It's like, it's all formula for me. So there's very little like risk from that side of life.
Yeah.
Because I know I can win. And if I make the formula as simple as possible, the outcome is inevitable. And I saw that happen with fitness and nutrition a lot, where people are like, I can't meal plan because I don't have time to make 30 different meals a week. It's like, bro, you don't need to make 30 different meals a week. Keep it super simple. Eat the same thing every day. Like, you're not a fucking Michelin star chef. Simplify it. Protein, carbs, fats, job done. Every day. So I just reverse everything to the stupid simple. And then it's like, okay, I need to do these 3 things every day.
Wow.
Wake up, execute.
It's actually crazy because people know this stuff, but don't do it.
Well, if you overcomplicate something, it gives you an opportunity to quit or have reasons for why it didn't succeed in the first place. So most people will overcomplicate the simplest of stuff, because then it's like, well, it's different for me because I got too many things going on and this, that, and the other, and it's too complicated and there's no way I could possibly achieve this. It's like, bro, 90% of that stuff you do doesn't even move the needle. So why are you doing it? I got paid obscene amounts of money by banks to go in, look at their processes and their systems, and just tell them where they were wasting money and time. And I would reverse engineer all of their processes. And I mean, we fired 150 people in a day once.
Wow.
There was 150 people in this process and system string that did fuck all to move the needle. Once we understood what chaos was going on and what they were trying to achieve, it's like, dude, point A, point B, straight line between the two. Why are we doing this? It's like, we could cut all of this and we would take a 9 or 10 day turnaround and it would be less than 24 hours, because it's just straight from here to here. Zero impact to the system, zero impact to the process, more streamlined, and it would save you a shit ton of money.
It's incredible.
And most people do that in their life.
Everyone overcomplicates things, and that risk, it may be a big risk, but I love how you said you betted on yourself. You just knew you were going to win. And so when you can have that type of mentality, winning is inevitable.
And if I haven't won yet, it's just because time hasn't caught up and I just haven't spent enough time in the trenches. And again, when you get beyond yourself, it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, one thing I didn't tell you is when I started trying to get into financial consulting in the UK, I went to 300 interviews.
Wow.
Before I landed my first one. It was actually closer to 350, but I don't know the exact number, so I just rounded to 300. But about 100 or so interviews in, I went home again to see my parents in Cambridge, and I was pissed off. I was grumpy and all this stuff. And my dad's like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "I've went to like 100 interviews and I still haven't got it." He's like, "So?" It's like, "Well, maybe this is not for me." He said, is that what your dream is worth? 100 no's? I was like, no. He's like, so then shut up. Get back to work. What's wrong with you? Like, what's the number of no's where you think that this is no longer for you? If there's no number, then it's just a case of just keep running the play and it'll inevitably happen. I had just found 100 people that didn't believe in me, but there's like 50,000 bankers in the UK. I didn't even scratch the surface yet.
Yeah.
So, okay, so 100 people said no. I'm one no closer to a yes. And 300 and some change later, I got my first foot in the door. And then it was like, okay, well, now I'm here to kick that thing in and full send.
That's incredible because people usually quit within the first couple of no's.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So imagine if they just kept going, stuck it out, where they would be. It's incredible.
Or even they don't even get a no, they just start getting shiny objects. And they start this thing here, and then it's like, well, this actually is kind of cool. And then they bounce off to there. And then, oh, this is cool. They bounce over here. And they never stay true to the path, and that's why they drift and never make anything happen.
Yeah, what would you say to the person that does do that? That trying to chase, different rabbits at once?
It's that like analogy of the guy who chases 2 rabbits catches none. Like, I would just say, give yourself a chance to win. So set yourself a realistic timeline. Say like 90 days. Let's say you're 50 pounds overweight. I'd say set a 90-day goal. You're going to do 3 things every day for 90 days. Don't really care what those 3 things are. Maybe you make some better food choices. Maybe you work out a little bit more consistently. Whatever it is. But over that 90-day period, do not miss a single fucking day. Do every single one of those tasks every day to the best of your ability, and then look back over that 90 days and just see how much progress you made. And I guarantee you now it'll be night and day. So if you can do it in fitness and nutrition, why couldn't you do it in finance? Why can't you do it in business? Why can't you do it with your relationships? Like, dude, when I was coaching fitness and nutrition, I had so many guys coming to me with relationship problems. And it's like, I tell you what, I'll solve your problem in fucking 5 minutes. Be intentional with your wife every single day. When you get home, put your shit down and hug her like you give a fuck. And kiss her like you give a shit. Like the first time you kiss her like that every day. You're telling me in 30 days from today you're still going to have relationship issues? No chance.
Wow.
It's so simple. But what we do is we just give ourselves too many exits and too many bullshit excuses for why stuff's not possible. And it is possible. We're just not intentional because there's like risk associated to it.
Yeah.
So the risk is that you don't do it and then everything falls apart. That's a risk I'm not accepting of. Yeah. So I'd rather give it everything and see what happens.
Byron, what do people get wrong about freedom? Like financial freedom or health freedom, that type of stuff. Because I feel like a lot of people think once they've reached freedom, they've made it.
I don't know if freedom is real. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I think there is stuff that you have today that 5 years ago you wished for. And yet you have it today and you don't feel like it's enough. So the bar is always moving. So I think that it's just more of like opportunity. The more money I have, the more opportunities I have to do other cool shit. It doesn't define me. Like you have no idea what my net worth is just by looking at me. I have no idea what your net worth is by looking at you. But like I know that I can go to a restaurant and I don't have to check the price of the menu. Yeah. I can just buy what I want. There's a level of freedom that comes with that. So it's like, oh, can we go here? Sure. Or whatever. So I don't think there's ever such a thing as like real true freedom. It's just more like opportunities, because I think the moment you think that you've acquired it and you're quote unquote free, that's the moment you take your foot off the gas and everything starts disappearing just as quickly. So, and maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but this is just how I show up every single day. As soon as I'm within like a stone's throw of a goal, I reset the goal and I move the bar higher. Because I never want to get complacent. I never want to reach it and have that, I'm done feeling. Because I've been there and I know what happens on the back end of that. So for me, it's constantly a case of like the bar's always moving and I'm just following suit, and my actions and what I do is in correlation to that. Because I think also what happens is once you achieve something, you realize that the process was actually more enjoyable than the inevitable outcome. There's been so many things that I, like in my sporting days, I And actually, I was chatting to Brandon Luckett the other day.
Okay.
And he was talking about this too on his podcast, where he envisioned himself standing on the podium at the CrossFit Games. And in his head, he built this thing up to be this huge, big deal. And he was like, when I actually got there, I was completely stoic. There's no emotion. It was just like, the job's not finished. And I think we build up in our head that this outcome is going to be so epic, and like angels will descend and sing and dance and all sorts of stuff. And it's not, it doesn't happen like that. And if you tied yourself to that outcome, you get left with this like, was that it? Is that as good as it gets? Versus just thoroughly enjoying the process on a consistent basis and like who you creating of yourself to ultimately get to that thing. I think that's where true freedom is versus an actual outcome of like, oh, when I have $1 million, I'll be free. Because you won't. You'll find something else that you're like, you'll see a dude who's got $5 million and you'll be like, man, that guy's got it all figured out. And then you'll see a guy who's got like that whole yacht analogy when you see those guys in, I can't remember the place now, but like a dude with a millionaire shows up with his yacht and then he's parked next to a billionaire. And you just see the structural difference. It's like there's always something to measure against, and I don't think we ever get to a point of like true freedom. We just have more options on the table, and we have different stresses. It's like we were talking about joking before this, like my biggest stress is that my kids don't turn into trust fund babies. Like my parents didn't have that stress with me, but like I'm now creating that stress, so I have to figure out how to navigate that. My parents had to just make sure that I was like got home at night because there was a probability of me not making it home. Versus now, like I don't have that problem. Like I live in Orange County.
Yeah.
My kid's coming home. But like, how do I instill grit and determination and stuff like that in him so that he doesn't squander 50 years of work? Because he can undo my entire legacy with a handful of really bad choices. So how do I help him make good choices and instill that grit and that discipline and that structure within him and my daughter? But I personally don't think freedom is real. It's just like, it's a byproduct of grinding and earning what you want and then being present enough to enjoy it at the same time.
Wow. I love that you're saying that. That really brings awareness to not only myself, but I'm sure everyone watching.
Thanks, Dave.
Yes. Byron, if this was your last message, what would you want to say? What would you want to say to the people watching for the young boy at 7 years old that was you?
Yeah.
Just in general, what would you want to say?
I think we'll circle back to kind of how we opened this thing, where we talk about like, have something that you're really shooting for and just give it everything you've got. Leave no stone unturned. Like literally give it everything you've got. I don't think there's that many people on this planet today who can say they've tried their best every day.
Wow.
Like I woke up today and I tried my best. Not many people can say that. But I think if you truly decide you want something and you wake up with the intention of actually trying your best every single day, it is inevitable. It will happen. And then comparison is the thief of all joy. So you want this thing, you're hunting it down. On your journey, you've got social media, TikTok, you've got all this shit like influencing you on all occasions. And it's like, it's very easy to put your head up for a second, look around and see the 22-year-old kid with his stash of fake money and his Lamborghini that he rented for the day. And you're 22 and you're like, fuck dude, he's got a Lambo and like 150 grand in cash. I don't even have a bicycle. And you get that comparison and you start like stressing out and then you start wavering on what you want and you start thinking maybe this is not for me. And that like that voice starts spiraling and it creates that chaos. And then you start seeing like, well then tomorrow you wake up and you're like, well, maybe my best is not good enough. But you don't know because you haven't given your best for long enough and truly given your actual best. So I would say like, cut the noise, limit your social media. I know it's fun and it's cool, but like, dude, there's so much distraction on there and it's not real. I've had the fortune of seeing behind the veil of most of the top influencers on this planet. I've seen the real world behind the lens and I know how it's crafted and it's not fucking real, dude. It's cloak and dagger, it's circus clowns and it's a bunch of shit. It's all manufactured. It's like, just hunt something down with everything you have, show up to the best of your ability, and don't worry about what other people are doing. What they're doing has no impact on you, and what you do has no impact on them. If they want to be a circus clown and have their little social media thing, cool. Like, decide what you want and just show up every day, relentlessly. And be able to put your head on a pillow at the end of the day and look back and go, yep, today I tried my best. I had my 3 or 4 things and I won today. If you can win today, you can win tomorrow. And then win the week, win the month, win the quarter, win the year. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat.
Powerful, man. Byron, it was a pleasure to sit down with you today.
Thanks, dude. This was fun.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
And we'll get more soon. Yeah. Get more soon. Thank you. And for everyone watching, thank you for tuning in to the Portal Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and looking forward to the next one.